The sound of canvas ripping echoes through my studio like a gunshot in the night. For a moment, I freeze at the doorway, my hands still on the light switch, watching my brother methodically destroy everything I've created for tomorrow's gallery opening. "Ryan," I whisper, but he doesn't stop. His expensive suit jacket lies discarded on my work table, his crisp white sleeves rolled up as he tears through another painting. My paintings. 6 months of work, scattered in shreds across the hardwood floor. I'm Elizabeth, and this is the moment I decide my brother needs to pay for everything he's done. "What the hell are you doing?" My voice comes out stronger now, anger replacing shock. Ryan turns, and there's something in his eyes I've never seen before. Something wild and desperate. "Protecting you," he says, reaching for another canvas. "This little art hobby of yours? It needs to stop. You're embarrassing the family." I lunge forward, grabbing his arm. "Get out!" He shakes me off like I'm nothing. I stumble backward, catching myself against the wall. "You don't get it, Liz. Mom and Dad have plans for you. The firm needs both of us. Your name's already on the letterhead." I never agreed to join the firm. My throat tightens as I survey the carnage. 3 years of art school, countless nights perfecting my technique, all destroyed because my golden boy brother decided to play God with my life. You don't have a choice. Ryan picks up my favorite piece, a portrait of our grandmother Eleanor that took me 2 months to complete. The Turner family has expectations. "Put it down," he smirks, that same smirk he's worn since childhood whenever he got his way. "Or what?" The canvas tears with a sound like breaking glass. I launch myself at him, fists flying, but he's bigger, stronger. He catches my wrists, pushing me away with enough force to send me sprawling. "Still the same weak little sister," he says, straightening his tie. "Always needing protection from your own bad decisions." "What's going on here?" We both freeze. Grandmother Eleanor stands in the doorway, her silk robe wrapped tight around her small frame. Her eyes scan the destruction, taking in every detail with laser precision. "Ryan was just leaving," I say, getting to my feet. "Was he?" Eleanor's voice could freeze hell. "It looks more like Ryan was destroying his sister's life's work the night before her first gallery showing." Ryan's facade cracks slightly. "Grandmother, I can explain." "I sincerely doubt that." Eleanor steps into the studio, her slippers crunching on broken frames. "Your father may indulge this behavior, but I won't. Not anymore. This isn't about Dad," Ryan protests, but we all know it is. It's always been about Dad, about living up to the Turner name, about maintaining the perfect family image at any cost. Eleanor turns to me. "Elizabeth, go to bed. We'll deal with this in the morning." Then to Ryan. "You and I need to have a long overdue conversation about consequences." I leave them there, climbing the stairs to my bedroom in our grandmother's sprawling house. My hands shake as I sit on the edge of my bed, staring at nothing. Tomorrow's gallery opening is ruined. My chance to prove myself, destroyed. But something else is rising from the ashes of my art. Something cold and calculating. Ryan has always been the favorite, the chosen one. He's spent years undermining me, belittling my choices, making sure I stay in his shadow. But tonight, he's made a fatal mistake. He's shown his true colors to the one person whose opinion actually matters in this family. I pull out my phone and start typing. "Samantha, I need your help. Remember that thing we discussed about Ryan's business dealings? It's time. My brother thinks he's protected me from making a mistake. Instead, he's just given me the perfect reason to destroy everything he holds dear. And I'm going to enjoy every moment of it." Grandmother Eleanor's dining room feels like a courtroom the next morning. My parents sit rigid in their usual spots, while Ryan slouches in his chair, tie loosened, dark circles under his eyes. The remains of my ruined artwork mock me from the studio next door. "This isn't necessary," my father says, checking his Rolex. "We can handle this internally." Eleanor's silver spoon clinks against her teacup. "Like you handled it when Ryan forged Elizabeth's signature on those internship rejection letters?" My head snaps up. "He did what?" "Grandmother, Ryan warns, but Eleanor continues. 3 prestigious art internships, all accepted you, Elizabeth. But someone, her eyes pierce Ryan, made sure you never knew. The room spins. Those rejections had crushed me, made me question everything about my art. I gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. When? Last summer, Eleanor says. I discovered the truth when the Hartley Gallery called, asking why you never responded to their second offer. My mother reaches for Ryan's hand. He was protecting the family name. He was protecting himself. I cut in, my voice sharp enough to make her flinch. God forbid anyone succeed at something he can't control. Ryan straightens, adjusting his collar. You want to talk about protection? Tell them about your little investigation into my business dealings, Liz. Tell them how you've been digging through my files with your friend Samantha. My father's face darkens. Is this true? What's true, Eleanor interrupts, is that I'm making changes to my will this afternoon. She sets down her teacup with finality. Elizabeth will receive full ownership of this house and my art collection. Additionally, I'm establishing a trust to fund her artistic endeavors. The silence is deafening. Ryan's face goes from red to white. Mother, my father starts, but Eleanor raises her hand. I'm not finished. Ryan's monthly allowance ends today. He can survive on his salary from the firm, assuming there's nothing in his business dealings that might jeopardize that position. Ryan's chair scrapes back. This is ridiculous. Dad, are you going to let her? Sit down, Eleanor commands. For once, Ryan obeys. Elizabeth, I've arranged for a showing of your work next month at the Hartley Gallery. They're quite eager to make up for lost opportunities. My mother's perfectly manicured nails drum against the table. Eleanor, you're overreacting. Ryan has always had the family's best interests. At heart? I laugh, the sound bitter even to my ears. Is that why he destroyed my entire collection? Because he cares so much? You can paint more pictures, Ryan snaps. I'm trying to preserve our legacy. Your legacy, I correct him. I never wanted it. Eleanor stands, her small frame somehow filling the room. The discussion is over. Mark, Karen, I suggest you consider whose legacy you're really protecting. Ryan. She pauses, something like sadness crossing her face. You have until the end of the month to move out of the guest house. As my parents hurry after Eleanor, probably to plead Ryan's case, my brother remains seated, staring at his reflection in the polished table. For a moment, I see something crack in his perfect facade. You won't win this, he says quietly. Dad won't let you destroy everything we've built. I lean closer, voice low. You did that yourself, brother dear. I'm just making sure everyone sees it. His phone buzzes, probably Vivian, wondering why he never came home last night. As he reaches for it, I notice his hands shaking slightly. By the way, I add, standing, those business dealings you mentioned? Samantha's not the only one who's been looking into them. The SEC finds anonymous tips very interesting these days. Ryan's head snaps up, real fear flickering in his eyes. You wouldn't. Why not? You taught me everything I know about protection. I head for the door, pausing in the doorway. Oh, and Ryan, next time you want to destroy someone's art, make sure they don't have backup files of everything. The Hartley showing is going to be digital prints. Bigger, better, and completely destruction-proof. As I walk away, I hear something crash behind me. Probably another family heirloom meeting my brother's rage. But for the first time since last night, I smile. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and I'm done playing the victim in Ryan's carefully curated world. Let him rage. His perfect facade is cracking, and I plan to be there when it finally shatters. Samantha slides a manila folder across her desk, her expression grim. You need to see this, Liz. Inside are bank statements, transaction records, and emails, all bearing Ryan's digital fingerprints. My hands start shaking as I process what I'm seeing. The numbers don't lie. My perfect brother has been embezzling from our father's firm for years. There's more, Samantha says, pulling up something on her computer. Remember that charity foundation he started last year? The one Dad bragged about at every family dinner? The screen shows a complex web of shell companies, all leading back to offshore accounts. My stomach turns. It's a front. A very sophisticated one. Samantha leans back in her chair. He's been laundering money through fake art purchases. Ironic, considering how he feels about your career choice. A knock at her office door makes us both jump. Vivian stands there, Ryan's girlfriend, her designer handbag clutched tight against her chest. Her mascara is smeared. "I need to talk to Elizabeth," she says. "Alone." Samantha gives me a warning look, but I nod. She gathers her things and leaves, closing the door behind her. "Ryan's losing it," Vivian says the moment we're alone. "He came home last night ranting about Eleanor's will, about you ruining everything. He was different, scary different." I keep my face neutral. "And you're telling me this because I found these." She pulls out her phone, showing me photos of documents. He's been forging Eleanor's signature on legal documents, something about reverse mortgages on her properties. My blood runs cold. When? Last month, before she changed her will. Vivian's hands tremble. He said it was insurance, in case she ever turned against him. I thought he was just being careful. The pieces clicked together. Ryan wasn't just protecting his image. He was preparing for war. And now that Eleanor's changed her will, he's backed into a corner. "Why are you showing me this?" Vivian wipes her eyes. "Because I'm pregnant, and I need to know what kind of man is really going to be my child's father." The revelation hits like a punch to the gut. This changes everything. Or should it? Ryan's actions have already destroyed so much. Would exposing him now hurt more than just him? My phone buzzes. A text from Eleanor. "Come home now. Emergency." I have to go, I tell Vivian. But we're not done talking about this. The drive home feels endless. When I arrive, police cars line the driveway. My father stands on the front steps, face ashen. Ryan is nowhere in sight. "What happened?" "Your grandmother," he says, voice hollow. "Someone broke into her study. All her legal documents, her computer. Everything's gone. They found her unconscious. The world tilts sideways. Is she? She's alive, but the doctors aren't sure." He trails off, running a hand through his gray hair. "They're calling it a robbery gone wrong. But we both know better. This has Ryan written all over it. Desperate, cornered Ryan, willing to hurt his own grandmother to protect his secrets. Inside, crime scene technicians dust for prints. I climb the stairs to Eleanor's study, stopping short at the doorway. The place is ransacked, but something's off. The destruction looks calculated. Only certain drawers have been opened, specific files taken. My mother appears beside me, her perfect makeup unable to hide her distress. The detective has questions about Ryan's whereabouts last night. "Do you really want those answers, Mom?" She flinches. He couldn't destroy my art? Forge rejection letters? Embezzle from Dad's firm? Her head snaps up. "What are you talking about?" I pull out my phone, forwarding her the evidence Samantha collected. Your perfect son isn't so perfect. And now grandmother might die because of his desperation to keep that image intact. "Elizabeth." "No." I cut her off. "No more excuses. No more protection. Ryan needs to face what he's done." As if summoned by his name, my brother appears at the end of the hallway. He looks immaculate as always, but there's something wild in his eyes. "Family meeting," he announces with an unnatural calm. "Everyone in the dining room, now." I meet his gaze, seeing the cornered animal beneath his polished exterior. He knows I know, and he's about to do something desperate. The question is, am I ready for what comes next? The hospital corridor stretches endless and white. Eleanor lies behind one of these doors, machines keeping her stable while the police search for answers I already have. My phone buzzes. Another message from Vivian about the pregnancy. I silence it. "Miss Turner?" A detective approaches, notebook in hand. "We found something interesting in your grandmother's study." I follow him to a small conference room where surveillance photos spread across the table. They show Ryan meeting with men I don't recognize, exchanging envelopes, shaking hands in shadowy parking lots. These were hidden in a false bottom drawer, the detective says. Along with this, he slides over a USB drive. Eleanor was investigating him? Looks that way. We're more interested in why someone would attack an elderly woman over some photos. My father appears in the doorway, his lawyer mask firmly in place. Elizabeth won't be answering any more questions without representation. Dad? Now Elizabeth. In the hallway, he grips my arm tight enough to hurt. Whatever you think you know about your brother, keep it to yourself. I wrench away. Eleanor's in a coma because of him. You don't know that. The embezzlement, the money laundering, the forged documents. I know everything, Dad. And so did she. His face hardens. You've always been jealous of your brother's success. Success? I laugh, sharp and bitter. Is that what we're calling fraud now? Elizabeth. My mother appears, perfectly composed, despite everything. Ryan needs us right now. He's struggling. Struggling with what? Getting caught? She flinches. He's at the house. Says he won't speak to anyone but you. Of course he does. Ryan always did love an audience for his performances. But something in my mother's eyes makes me pause. What aren't you telling me? Just be careful, she whispers. He's not himself. I find Ryan in Eleanor's study, standing exactly where she fell. He's still wearing the same suit from yesterday, now wrinkled and stained. Empty bottles litter the desk. Vivian told you. It's not a question. About the baby? Yes. He picks up one of Eleanor's crystal paperweights, turning it over in his hands. Did she tell you it might not be mine? That stops me cold. What? She's been sleeping with Dad's partner for months. He laughs, hollow and sharp. Funny, right? The perfect son, the golden child, can't even keep his girlfriend faithful. Ryan, you know what's really funny? He hurls the paperweight against the wall. It shatters, sending crystals skittering across the floor. Eleanor knew. She knew everything. The embezzlement, Vivian's affair, all of it. She was gathering evidence, building a case. To protect the family. To destroy me! He whirls on me, eyes wild. She was going to expose everything unless I signed over my shares in the firm. To you. The pieces click together. That's why you attacked her. I didn't mean to. His voice cracks. I just wanted the evidence gone. She fought back. She wasn't supposed to fight back. My phone buzzes again. A text from Samantha. SEC agents just arrived at the firm. Ryan's accounts are frozen. They're coming for you, I say quietly. I know. He straightens his tie, a reflexive gesture so familiar it hurts. That's why you're going to help me leave the country. What? You have access to Eleanor's accounts now. Wire me enough to disappear, and I'll leave everything else to you. The house, the firm shares, all of it. And if I don't? His smile is razor sharp. Then I tell the police who really forged those documents in Eleanor's name. I still have your practice sheets. The weight of his words hits me like a physical blow. He planned this. All of it. The attack on Eleanor, the evidence, the setup. It was all to force my hand. You're bluffing. Sour, am I? He pulls out his phone, showing me photos of papers covered in Eleanor's signature, in my handwriting. You're not the only one who's been gathering evidence, sister dear. Outside, sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Ryan holds out his hand. Tick-tock, Liz. What's it going to be? Your revenge or your freedom? The Hartley Gallery buzzes with opening night energy, but I barely notice the crowds admiring my digital prints. My phone keeps lighting up with hospital updates about Eleanor, each one a reminder of what Ryan's desperation has cost us. Elizabeth Turner? A woman in a sharp suit approaches, badge visible on her hip. Agent Martinez, SEC, do you have a moment? Before I can answer, Samantha materializes beside me. My client isn't answering questions without legal representation. Client? I turn to her, but she squeezes my arm in warning. I'm not here about your brother's fraud, Martinez says quietly. I'm here about the wire transfers from your grandmother's accounts this morning. My stomach drops. What transfers? $3 million, moved through a series of offshore accounts. The authorization came from your IP address. Samantha's grip tightens. We're done here, but I'm already putting it together. Ryan's ultimatum, the forged signatures he threatened to pin on me, and now this. He's making good on his threat, but with a twist. He's framing me for both crimes. Miss Turner? A gallery assistant appears. There's a situation with one of your pieces. In the main exhibition hall, a crowd gathers around my centerpiece, the digital recreation of Eleanor's portrait. On the screen, the image glitches and transforms, revealing financial documents, bank statements, and emails. My evidence against Ryan, playing on loop for everyone to see. Quite a statement piece, Vivian says from behind me. She's wearing black, like she's already in mourning for her relationship with Ryan. He said you'd try something like this. I didn't. Save it. She hands me an envelope. Ryan wanted me to give you this. Said you'd understand when the time came. Inside is a single photograph. Me at Eleanor's desk the night before her attack, practicing her signature. But I know that's not what happened. I was never there. The image is doctored, but expertly, impossible to prove without the original. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Check your email. You have 1 hour to transfer the remaining funds, or the police get everything. R. Elizabeth? My father pushes through the crowd. What the hell is this? The firm's clients are here. Dad, I can explain. No need. He holds up his phone, showing an email chain that seems to implicate me in both the fraud and Eleanor's attack. Ryan warned me you might try something like this. Said you were jealous of his success, that you'd do anything to destroy him. And you believed him? I don't know what to believe anymore. He looks around at the displayed evidence, the gathering crowd, the approaching security guards. But this ends now. Either you fix this, or I'll have no choice but to let you face the consequences. Samantha pulls me aside, her voice low and urgent. We need to move fast. I have proof the transfers were initiated from Ryan's private server, not your IP address. And Vivian's willing to testify about the forged documents, the real ones, not these fakes. It won't matter, I say, watching Agent Martinez make calls in the corner. Ryan's planned for everything. He's making sure that even if he goes down, he's taking me with him. Then maybe it's time to let him. I turn to her. What? Your whole life you've played by his rules. Maybe winning isn't about beating him at his own game. Maybe it's about changing the game entirely. The gallery lights flicker, and suddenly, I'm staring at my digital prints, my art, my truth, my voice. Ryan tried to destroy my originals, but in doing so, he forced me to create something he can't touch. Something permanent. My phone buzzes again. A message from the hospital. Eleanor's awake. Miss Turner? Agent Martinez approaches again. We need your decision now. Are you going to cooperate with our investigation? I look at the photograph in my hand, then at my father's disappointed face, and finally at my art on the walls. Pieces that tell stories of broken trust and painful transformations. Ryan thinks he's backed me into a corner, but he's forgotten one thing. I'm not the same sister he used to push around. Actually, I say, I have something you need to see. But first, we need to visit my grandmother. Samantha smiles, already pulling out her phone to set things in motion. Because Ryan might be good at playing chess, but he's about to learn that sometimes the pieces refuse to play their assigned roles. And I'm done being his pawn. Eleanor's hospital room feels smaller with Ryan standing in the doorway. His suit is pristine again, his composure restored, while I'm still wearing my gallery opening dress, now wrinkled from hours of police questioning. You shouldn't be here, I say, moving closer to Eleanor's bed. Family meeting, remember? He steps inside, closing the door. Though I see you've brought some unexpected guests. He nods toward the hallway where Agent Martinez waits with Samantha. Eleanor's monitors beep steadily as she watches us, her eyes sharp despite the medication. She can't speak yet, but her hand tightens around mine. It's over, Ryan. I reach for the call button, but he's faster, snatching it away. Nothing's over until I say it is. He pulls out his phone. Did you know Dad's been recording our conversations? Every threat, every accusation you've made against me, all documented. Of course, the timestamps have been adjusted. My throat tightens. No one will believe. They already do. The SEC is investigating you, not me. The police have witness statements about your unstable behavior at the gallery. Even Vivian's prepared to testify that you've been obsessed with destroying me since childhood. You're lying. Am I? He shows me his screen. A video of me apparently threatening him in Eleanor's study, clearly edited from security footage. Technology's amazing these days, almost as good as your digital art. Eleanor makes a sound, trying to speak. Ryan moves to her other side. Don't strain yourself, grandmother. Elizabeth's actions have shocked us all. The door opens. Our parents enter, followed by Agent Martinez and 2 police officers. Elizabeth Turner, Martinez starts. We have a warrant for your arrest. What? I look at my father. Dad, you know this isn't... We found the original transfer documents. He cuts in, not meeting my eyes. And Eleanor's missing files. In your studio. Ryan planted them. He must have done it during the gallery opening. I turn to Samantha, but she's being held back by one of the officers, her legal protests ignored. You have the right to remain silent, Martinez begins, approaching with handcuffs. Wait! Eleanor's voice, weak but clear, stops everyone. Ryan, did it. Ryan laughs softly. Grandmother, you're confused. The doctors said the medication might... Security, cameras. She points weakly at her bedside table. Pendant. I reach for her necklace, an antique locket I've never seen her without. It clicks open, revealing not photos, but a tiny USB drive. Ryan lunges for it, but I'm already backing away. You really think I wouldn't protect myself? Eleanor continues, stronger now. After what you did to Elizabeth's internships? Dad! Ryan turns desperate eyes to our father. She's clearly not thinking clearly. The footage is time-stamped, Eleanor says. Every meeting, every threat, including the night you attacked me. The room goes silent, except for the steady beep of monitors. I connect the USB to my phone, hands shaking. The video is crystal clear. Ryan and Eleanor's study, their argument, his push that sent her crashing into the desk. You didn't even check on me, Eleanor says, each word precise despite her weakness. Just took what you wanted and left me there. Agent Martinez steps forward, but Ryan's already moving. He grabs me, using my body as a shield as he backs toward the door. One more step, and I'll tell everyone what really happened to Mom's inheritance, he snarls. Every dirty secret this family's been hiding. Is that what you want, Dad? For everyone to know? I feel something press against my ribs, the sharp point of a letter opener from Eleanor's bedside table. When did he grab it? Ryan! Our mother pleads. Don't! Shut up! His hand shakes. All of you, just shut up. I had everything under control until you... He jerks me harder. Started playing artist instead of knowing your place. The letter opener digs deeper. One quick thrust, and it would pierce my heart. I meet Eleanor's eyes in the mirror across the room, seeing my own fear reflected there. But behind that fear is something else, a determination I inherited from her. You're right, Ryan, I say quietly. I never knew my place, because it wasn't where you put me. The monitors start beeping faster as Eleanor tries to sit up. Agent Martinez inches closer, and I realize that whatever happens next will change our family forever. The question is, who's going to bleed first? The letter opener slips from Ryan's hand as Agent Martinez tackles him. I stumble forward, catching myself on Eleanor's bed rail. In the chaos that follows, the handcuffs, the rights being read, our mother's quiet sobs, I noticed something odd. Ryan's laughing. "You still don't get it, do you?" He looks past the officers to our father. "Tell her, Dad. Tell her why you really let me destroy her art." Our father's face goes ash white. "Ryan, don't!" "The foundation wasn't just for money laundering," Ryan continues, still eerily calm. "It was to hide the real estate scheme, the one Dad started 20 years ago, with Mom's inheritance." Eleanor's monitors spike. "Mark?" "Every penny," Ryan says. "Gone before Elizabeth was even born. That's why he needed me to take over the firm, to keep the whole thing from collapsing." He turns to me. "You were never the disappointment, Liz. You were the distraction." The room tilts sideways. I grip Eleanor's bed harder. "Dad?" "I was protecting our family," he says quietly. "Everything I did was fraud." Agent Martinez cuts in. "And now we have confirmation." She signals to her partner. "Mark Turner, you're under arrest." My mother moves between them. "You can't. Our reputation." "Your reputation?" Eleanor's voice cracks like a whip. "Karen, you knew? All this time?" "I knew he needed Ryan focused," she admits. "Needed him to take over. Elizabeth's art. It was a liability, a distraction. Ryan was just doing what had to be done." The betrayal hits like a physical blow. Every destroyed canvas, every sabotaged opportunity. It wasn't just Ryan's jealousy. It was calculated, planned, encouraged. "That's why you never stopped him," I whisper. "Why you always looked away." Ryan's laughter turns bitter. The perfect son, doing exactly what Daddy wanted. Keeping the sister in line, protecting the family secrets, until Eleanor started changing the rules. "You attacked me," Eleanor reminds him, "because I discovered the truth." "I attacked you because you were going to give everything to her." He lunges against the officer's grip. "The one person who could destroy everything we built." "Built on lies," I say, finally understanding. "On my broken dreams." "Your dreams?" Ryan sneers. "What about mine? Every move, every decision, all orchestrated to keep Dad's house of cards standing. At least you got to choose your cage." The officers move to take our father, but I step forward. "Wait." I pull out my phone, showing the video from Eleanor's pendant. "There's more than just the attack here, isn't there? More evidence?" Ryan's smirk falters. "Liz, years of recordings," Eleanor confirms. "Every conversation, every scheme, including the real estate fraud." "If I testify," I look at Agent Martinez, "about everything, the art destruction, the forged rejections, all of it, what happens to my mother?" Ryan starts struggling again. "Don't you dare." "Reduced charges," Martinez says, "if she cooperates." My mother stares at me, really sees me, perhaps for the first time. "Elizabeth, please." "That's the difference between us," I tell Ryan. "You destroyed art to keep secrets. I'm using it to expose truth." I turn to Martinez. "I'll testify about everything." "You'll destroy this family," Ryan warns. "No," Eleanor says, reaching for my hand. "She'll free it." As they lead Ryan and our father away, my mother sinks into a chair, broken. The perfect family facade finally shatters, leaving only truth in its wake. "I never wanted this," she whispers. "Neither did I." I move toward the door, where Samantha waits. "But at least now we can build something real from the ruins." Eleanor's voice stops me. "Elizabeth, the pendant, keep it. Let it remind you that truth, like art, finds its way to the light." I touch the locket now hanging around my neck, feeling its weight, the weight of evidence, of justice, of choices made and prices paid. Ryan chose to be our father's weapon. I'm choosing to be Eleanor's truth teller. The irony doesn't escape me. In the end, my art didn't just survive their destruction. It became the lens through which their whole carefully constructed world was exposed. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about bringing their darkness into the light and letting truth do the rest. The courtroom empties slowly after the sentencing. My father doesn't look back as they lead him away. Ryan stares straight ahead, his perfect posture finely broken. Only my mother lingers, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. Elizabeth, her voice catches. Please. I adjust Eleanor's pendant around my neck. The trust is set up for the baby. Vivian knows the terms. That's not what I know. I gather my papers, testimony, evidence, truth carved in black and white. But sometimes sorry isn't enough. At Eleanor's house, my house now, I find her in the studio, surrounded by half-finished paintings. She's stronger now, but something fragile lingers in her movements as she sorts through old photographs. Found something interesting? I ask. She holds up a yellowed envelope. Letters, from your grandfather to me. Her hands shake slightly. About your father when he was young. About choices I made. Inside are dozens of letters, dating back decades. One catches my eye. My dearest Eleanor, your decision to protect Mark from the consequences of his actions will shape not just his future, but generations to come. History repeats, Eleanor says quietly. I enabled your father the same way he enabled Ryan, the same way your mother enabled them both. And now? Now we break the cycle. She hands me a final document, transfer papers for the family firm. The board wants you to take over. Clean slate, new direction. I almost laugh. I'm not a businesswoman. No, you're an artist. Maybe that's exactly what the firm needs. Someone who sees truth instead of opportunity. My phone buzzes. Samantha, with updates about the gallery's upcoming show. My new series, Family Portraits in Truth and Shadow. The exhibition that will tell our story through art, not lies. Ryan asked to see you, Eleanor mentions, before they transfer him. I know. Will you go? I touch the pendant, feeling its weight. Some portraits are better left unpainted. The doorbell rings. My mother stands on the porch, holding a familiar box. My childhood art supplies. The ones she'd hidden away when Ryan first started pressuring me to focus on real work. I saved them, she whispers. All these years, I just couldn't watch you choose a harder path. You chose the easy path, Mom. Look where it led. She sets the box down carefully. I'm selling the house, moving somewhere smaller, starting over. Good. Elizabeth! She straightens, finding a shadow of her old strength. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope someday you'll understand. We don't always recognize our cages until someone else breaks free. I leave the box on the porch as she walks away. Some gifts come too late to matter. In my studio, I begin a new piece. Not digital this time. Real paint, real canvas, real risk. Eleanor watches from the doorway as I work, neither of us speaking as the image emerges. A family portrait, but with all our shadows exposed, our thorns visible, our truths bleeding through carefully maintained facades. You're using his old easel, she observes. Seemed fitting. The easel had been Ryan's first attempt at destroying my art years ago. I'd rebuilt it, stronger than before. Like me. The baby's due next month, Eleanor says. Vivian wants to name her Eleanor Elizabeth. My brush pauses. Think she'll be different? Break the pattern? That depends. On what? On whether we teach her to paint her own portraits instead of living in someone else's. I step back, studying my work. The canvas shows our family tree, but the branches are thorned vines, beautiful and dangerous. At the bottom, a new shoot grows away from the tangles, reaching toward clear sky. You know, Eleanor says, revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about creation, building something new from the ashes of what others tried to burn. I add one final touch, a small pendant hanging from the youngest branch, catching light that seems to come from within. Then let's create something worth inheriting, I say, and reach for a fresh canvas. Behind me, Eleanor smiles, and the morning light streams through windows that no longer hold shadows. Longer hold shadows. Longer hold shadows. Longer hold shadows. longer hold shadows.